Okay, this video is basically in response to a meme that was posted on Financial Professional, which has almost 1 million followers on Instagram. And obviously, financial pages are going to tend to be a little bit more right-wing. At least that seems to be how it is. A lot of these IG accounts are run by kind of the grind set guys who don't actually have a lot of money, but they feign that they have a lot of money, trying to kind of pyramid scheme their way into it, get some followers, get some advertisers on there, etc., etc. Anyways, this is the meme. It's of Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada. Canadians now have to pay 66% capital gains tax on their profits over $250,000, which is wrong. So 66% would be absurd. So anyways, what it actually is it's a 66% tax rate, meaning that only 66% of your capital gains are subject to tax, and the other 34% are tax-free. So only 66% of your capital gains are taxed, and the tax rate for that 66% of the capital gains is only 15%. So you're getting taxed 15% on not even your full earnings of capital gains. So it's very mild. That's if you think of it, it's under 15% tax rate for someone who makes more than $250,000 on capital gains passive investment, which is just fueling the housing crisis in Canada. People are using houses like the stock market. They buy a house, they buy 2 houses, they buy 3 houses, and they have them either sit there vacant and they just let them accumulate wealth as inflation goes to sell them and make capital gains, or they put some Airbnbs in there. They run these places like hotels. They make short-term profits as they keep that as an investment. So this is just an example of bootlicking, and it makes it hard to support right-wing governments and politicians because it's clearly false, it's clearly propaganda, and it's clearly hurting the working class. So conservatives and right-wingers always, ever since Nixon or probably a bit earlier, have always tried to feign support for the working class when they break up strikes and they give tax cuts to people who have 5 yachts, and then the taxes at the working class level, which they say are going to cut, always remain the same. And those are the people who can't do tax evasion and go to the Cayman Islands. Those are people that actually have to pay the taxes. And then there's always the, oh, well, these people are going to leave. This is very mild. The capital gains tax, I believe, coming into it right now is, I think it's actually already 15%, and I think it's being raised to 15.6%. So very modest increase. It's not going to change much. And the people that are struggling to make small business work, it's not because of tax, it's because of red tape, it's because of regulation, it's because they need to go through all these hoops, they need to hire accountants, and they need to file for licenses, business license fees. They have property taxes that they have to pay, which is separate than capital gains tax, it's separate than income tax. Obviously, they have lease agreements that have to work out, and failing business models basically as well, because if you're going to sell something that Amazon sells for half the price and you can buy 2 of them for half the price or something, then your business is going to fail, and that's a monopoly. And to break up monopolies, you need a strong centralized government like China has. I'm not recommending that, but I'm saying to actually solve some of these problems, you need more government, not less. Although I'm not a fan of Trudeau here. I don't think giving more money to CBC is a good idea, the state media thing. I think the surveillance state is wrong. I think the nanny state is wrong. I think giving so much money to spy agencies so they can look in our phones is wrong. I think people should be more free. People shouldn't be under a magnifying glass and feeling tense and paranoid like we're in some kind of Big Brother society. I think that's all wrong. But I do believe in a state that can break up a monopoly, and I also believe in taxing people who make a little bit more. And you look into even primate behavior, a chimp troop or whatever they're called. I guess they're not called a herd or whatever. There's a leader chimp. Everyone else is expected to kind of get their fruit or whatever, and he's there to make sure that things are peaceful and stable. And if he's not, and he's a tyrant, they kill him. They get him out. And I'm not saying we should kill rich people. It's been tried in 1917 to disastrous effects, but I'm saying that this is in our blood, and I'm kind of saying that almost as a leftist Jordan Peterson, who uses the example of a lobster here. And in the military, if a commander is riding his troops too hard, is expecting too much of them, and is taking the lion's share of the credit, etc., etc., they have a term called frag, which they throw a frag grenade by him, and they basically just get rid of him. And once again, it's a similar thing. I'm not saying to bring violence. I'm just saying that the bottom has always needed to stick up for itself, or the top will just take everything. And bosses recognize other bosses. They get together. They find ways to coordinate and to get this information out that these taxes are hurting us, the lower class, when they're in fact actually doing us a little bit of a favor, and they're only very minorly in some ways harming the rich class. And it's usually taking from their luxury goods. It's usually not taking from the business at all. And there has been safety rails, usually, I believe in this case, put on so it doesn't harm small business. So it makes it hard for me to justify supporting the right-wing hopeful Pierre Poilievre, even though his stance on the housing crisis, as he says, common sense wins. Like, it is common sense. We need more shovels in the ground. But then you look at Trudeau, he basically copied the paper off Poilievre. That's now Trudeau's new policy. So if it's going to work, then it will work for Trudeau, which, once again, I don't like the guy, but I'm just saying it makes it hard to support conservative, Republican, right-wing governments when they lie about their true intentions. When on the left, you might not agree with the policies, but they say what they say and they do it. You might say it causes inflation. You might say that it's people have bad work ethic. You might say it supports the wrong people. You might say that it's identity politics, but they do what they say. And on the right, they never do that. They feign support for the working class. And I think that the left needs more people to fix common sense, ground level solutions they need to come up with to support the working class, because to alienate the working class and unions is to make people turn to someone who's saying, oh, it's because of taxes, when it is partially because of regulations. But anyways, that's my little rant of this misinformation. There's a lot of this stuff online. I met a guy the other day who said there's going to be a gym tax for you breathing at a gym and putting out carbon monoxide. Completely false. Obviously, it's stupid, but he actually didn't say it as a joke. He said it seriously, and when I didn't believe it, he was kind of like pushing me and peer pressuring me to believe it. Like, he was kind of shoving the idea down my throat. So there's a lot of guys like this. I don't know if he owned a business or if someone who he works for shoved this down his throat, and it's just this kind of, this is where we're at now. And I'm not saying that the left doesn't have propaganda, and I think some of the things that the left is coming up with are a little bit crazy, but the things that the left are coming up, the things that the left are doing that's crazy typically isn't actually the left or the economic left. It's more central liberals who kind of want a little bit of status quo, how things are going. They want their capital gains left untouched, but they just want these kind of identity politics and these kind of little social cookies that can be given to their particular group. And I support rights for all these particular groups, but I believe it's kind of a divide and conquer type strategy. I believe that these people aren't really truly on the left hoping everyone to earn money and to build a home. I think they're kind of out of it a little bit. But anyways, this is my video on that. I hope people enjoy it. I'm off to work now. I'm going to mow some lawns, and check out my other videos. And I am out of here.